December 16, 1944. The dense forests of the Ardennes shiver under a thin layer of frost. Dawn is a muted gray, the sun struggling to pierce a sky heavy with clouds. In the villages of Belgium, soldiers of the 6th SS Panzer Army stir from shallow slumber, weapons glinting faintly in the pale light. Among them Otto Skorzeny WW2 stands apart not by rank alone, but by the audacity of his mind. Today, the Wehrmacht launches a desperate offensive, a gamble that could change the course of the war in the West. Skorzeny inspects the lines. His men, elite soldiers trained for sabotage and high-stakes operations, move with precision. Tanks rumble through snow-slick roads. In the quiet before chaos, one senses the meticulous planning behind this audacious attack. Skorzeny's orders are precise. Seize key bridges over the Meuse, strike fear into the Allies, and disrupt communications before they can react. At 0500 hours, artillery cracks the stillness. Shellfire rattles the frosted windows of homes, sending civilians fleeing into woods. Infantry advances, muffled by winter fog. Skorzeny rides in a staff car through narrow lanes, observing, calculating. Every intersection, every farmhouse, every road could be a trap or an opportunity. Intelligence reports are fragmentary. The Allies remain unaware of the full scale of the German plan. In Bastogne, American paratroopers brace for impact. They are outnumbered, their lines thin, their radios sporadic. Across the Ardennes, Skorzeny coordinates special operations teams, saboteurs dressed in American uniforms, moving silently behind enemy lines. Bridges are rigged, supply convoys ambushed. Each move is precise, each decision a thread in a tense tapestry of deception and surprise. The forest is a living entity. Snow-laden branches snap under tanks' weight, echoing across valleys. Skorzeny's men push forward, fighting for every kilometer. The clash is chaotic yet methodical. Engineers blow obstacles while commandos secure high ground. The smell of gunpowder mingles with cold air. Soldiers shout orders in German. The Allies respond with fire. Time stretches, a slow, grinding battle that will decide more than territory. It will test leadership, cunning, and nerve under fire. By noon, the first towns flicker under flames and smoke. Skorzeny surveys his operation, a mixture of calculation and instinct guiding him. Yet the fog of war is merciless. Reports of counterattacks filter in. Reinforcements are delayed. Terrain proves treacherous, and winter's bite grows sharper. Every decision carries weight. Every misstep could be fatal. And still, the offensive presses onward, each movement deliberate, each pause charged with imminent danger. A distant explosion shakes the earth. Skorzeny's eyes narrow. The first test of the Ardennes gamble is underway, but the battle is far from won, and the forest hides both opportunity and catastrophe in equal measure. The distant explosion rattles the trees, sending a cascade of snow into the air. Skorzeny leans forward, calculating. His command car navigates the narrow, icy lanes, engines muffled under the forest canopy. Scouts report a small American convoy halted near a bend. The opportunity is immediate. Fleeting, he must act before the Allies can regroup. Orders are relayed in clipped German. Strike swiftly, strike decisively, vanish before reinforcement arrives. Teams split off. In the shadowed forest, Skorzeny watches as squads in American uniforms move silently, their rifles low, eye-scanning every tree line. Mines are set along the narrow road. A fuel truck is spotted and marked. Seconds stretch like hours. A whistle cuts through the mist, signals synchronized. In one coordinated push, the Germans strike. Explosions roar. Metal twists, men shout, and smoke blankets the area. The convoy is halted, supplies captured. Skorzeny pauses, absorbing the scene. The success is immediate, but fragile. Each kilometer gained through the Ardennes draws German forces deeper into hostile territory. Communications remain sporadic, reinforcements uncertain, and the forest itself conspires against movement. Every ridge conceals potential ambushes. Every village might be defended by entrenched Americans. determined to hold despite being outnumbered. By mid-afternoon, Skorzeny's teams secure a bridge over the Our River. Engineers work with urgency, timber cracking under their hands as they reinforce structural points to allow the passage of tanks and trucks. Across the river, American forces are regrouping, artillery firing sporadically. The winter sky grows darker, clouds thickening as if mirroring the encroaching chaos. Skorzeny remains calm, calculating the next move while anticipating the Allies' reaction. In nearby woods, another German platoon stumbles upon unexpected resistance. A firefight erupts. Bursts of M1 Garand rounds meet Stieg 44 automatic fire. Snow is churned to slush, leaving streaks of mud and blood. Skorzeny receives reports through his radio. Operator contact is heavier than expected, but the element of surprise persists. He directs reinforcements, flanking the Americans before they can consolidate. Each maneuver is deliberate, the line between success and disaster razor thin. Night begins to fall, shrouding the forest in near darkness. Fires flicker from destroyed vehicles and small settlements, casting long shadows. Skorzeny moves along the column, checking positions, adjusting deployments. Morale is high among the SS troops. Discipline and elite training hold them steady amid the chaos. Yet, the unknown lingers. Counterattacks could erupt at any moment. Reinforcements might arrive from unexpected directions. And the Ardennes forest itself conceals danger in every shadow. A distant flare arcs across the sky, illuminating a ridge. Skorzeny's eyes narrow. Across the valley, he senses the first signs of an organized American counter-offensive. Night deepens over the Ardennes. Snow falls heavier now, blanketing tracks and muffling the movements of both German and American forces. Skorzeny crouches in the command trench, the radio operator murmuring updates, each report more fragmented than the last. Across the frozen ridges, he hears the distant thunder of artillery, sharp and irregular, signaling the arrival of American reinforcements. The gamble that began at dawn is beginning to strain under the weight of winter and determination. Orders are given, precise and deliberate. Skorzeny's men reposition to cover weak points along the column, setting up ambushes in anticipation of the American advance. Patrols move cautiously along snow-choked paths, the crack of ice under boots echoing ominously. Tanks are staggered, infantry deployed in wedge formations to maximize firepower and minimize exposure. Every move is tactical, every pause calculated. The forest itself is a weapon, concealing men, mines, and artillery alike. A sudden burst of tracer fire cuts through the darkness. Skorzeny's men return fire, tracer rounds illuminating the trees with eerie streaks of white. Shadows twist and shift as soldiers duck behind vehicles and frozen embankments. Skorzeny signals for mortars to lay suppressive fire. Explosions throw up clouds of snow and earth, momentarily halting the American advance. Each strike, each maneuver, is a delicate balance between audacity and survival. The first casualties are reported. Skorzeny's eyes scan the situation, measuring losses against gains. Morale remains intact, but tension gnaws at the edges of every decision. In the rear, trucks struggle through icy roads, supplies delayed, ammunition rationed with precision. Reinforcements may never arrive on time. Every soldier knows the stakes. The Ardennes is not forgiving, and a misstep could mean disaster. At a crossroads near the village of Haufelies, Skorzeny directs a squad to block American patrols. Machine guns roar from hidden positions. Snow churns to slush, marked with tracks of men and vehicles alike. The clash is intense but controlled. The elite troops of Skorzeny execute their orders with a chilling efficiency. The Americans respond with artillery fire, shaking the ground beneath them. But the Germans hold the line, exploiting terrain and surprise. Hours drag into dawn. Fires from burning vehicles light the forest in intermittent bursts, casting long, distorted shadows. Skorzeny surveys his men, calculating the next phase. Bridges must still be secured, supply lines reinforced, and the Americans delayed long enough for the 6th SS Panzer Army to push deeper. Yet the forest is patient and indifferent. Every ridge, every valley, hides the next threat. A faint cry rises from the snow. A patrol has encountered heavy resistance. Skorzeny stiffens. The battle is far from over. The gamble that began under the frost of early morning continues. Each second a test of nerve, skill, and survival. He knows the Ardennes. Dawn breaks over the Ardennes with a pale, gray light, filtering through the skeletal trees. The snow has thickened overnight, clinging to branches and slowing movement. Skorzeny stands at a ridge, binoculars pressed to his eyes. Across the valley, American units advance in cautious formations, probing the German positions. The initial surprise of the offensive has begun to wane. Now, the Allies fight back with discipline, determination, and artillery that shakes the frozen earth. Skorzeny signals for a redeployment. The elite SS squads pivot to secondary positions, utilizing hidden gullies and tree lines to channel the American advance into kill zones. Mines and improvised obstacles litter the roads. Every footstep for the enemy carries the risk of death. German armor moves carefully, halting to cover flanks, while infantry supports from concealed trenches and ruined buildings. Each maneuver is precise, a measured counter to the relentless push of the Allies. In the village of Wiltz, firefights erupt in narrow streets. Skorzeny's men use the architecture to their advantage, firing from windows, doorways, and rooftops. American soldiers respond with coordinated small unit tactics, advancing house to house. The clash is brutal yet controlled. The elite training of Skorzeny's commandos meets the resilience of seasoned American paratroopers. Shouts, gunfire, and explosions blend into a harsh symphony of war. Reports filter in. Supply convoys are stalled. A critical bridge farther north is under fire, and the forest conceals movements that could threaten the flank. Skorzeny adapts quickly. He orders a diversionary team to simulate a larger force, drawing American attention while his main units secure key objectives. Every action is deliberate. Every decision a gamble between survival and strategic gain. By late afternoon, German forces seize the northern bridge near Haufelies, but at a cost. Snow-stained bodies lie along the approaches, casualties mounting under bitter cold. Skorzeny surveys the scene, noting both the successes and the vulnerabilities. Morale is tested. Fatigue gnaws at the men, yet discipline and training hold the unit together, each soldier aware that the Ardennes punishes hesitation more severely than bullets. As evening falls, smoke rises from several small villages, the result of both artillery and deliberate destruction. Skorzeny's command posts are illuminated only by flickering lamps and firelight. He pores over maps, plotting the next phase of the operation, anticipating counterattacks, and estimating reinforcements' arrival or lack thereof. The forest, silent but deadly, stretches endlessly in every direction, hiding enemy movements and natural obstacles alike. A sudden crack of heavy artillery echoes across the valley. Skorzeny stiffens. The Americans are probing for weaknesses, testing his defenses. Every ridge, every road, every village could now become a trap or a death zone. The gamble of the Ardennes continues. The artillery fire grows heavier through the night. Shells land closer now, walking methodically across the forested ridges. Skorzeny listens as reports arrive in fragments. American units probing from multiple directions. Armor detected on the western roads. Infantry pressing through the snow with relentless discipline. The initiative is slipping. What began as surprise is hardening into endurance. Before dawn, Skorzeny orders a controlled withdrawal to secondary positions. It is not retreat, it is recalculation. Units disengage in silence, leaving mines, booby traps, and delayed charges behind. Snow erases footprints almost as quickly as they are made. When American patrols advance, they meet sudden explosions. Machine gun bursts from unseen positions. Then nothing but trees and smoke. At first light, Allied aircraft appear overhead. The clouds break just enough. Fighter bombers dive low, raking roads and suspected German positions. Vehicles scatter. Columns fragment. Skorzeny watches a half-track burn, ammunition cooking off in sharp cracks. Air superiority now belongs entirely to the Allies, and every movement in daylight becomes a calculated risk. Radio traffic confirms the inevitable. American armored units are converging. The roads Skorzeny must hold are narrowing. Choked by snow, wreckage, and enemy pressure, he moves his command post again, closer to the front, closer to the danger. Maps are redrawn. Orders are adjusted. The objective is no longer rapid advance, it is delay. Every hour gained matters. Near a frozen stream, an SS platoon becomes pinned down. American machine guns lock the crossing. Skorzeny personally directs a flanking maneuver, sending 2 squads through dense undergrowth to strike from the side. The engagement is short and brutal. Grenades detonate. Rifles crack at close range. When it ends, the stream runs dark beneath the ice. Casualties mount. Medics work without pause, fingers numb, bandages freezing stiff. Ammunition is redistributed from the fallen to the living. Food is scarce. Sleep is nearly non-existent, yet discipline holds. Skorzeny's men remain focused, trained for precisely this kind of pressure, isolated, hunted, and outnumbered. By afternoon, American artillery zeroes in with deadly accuracy. Shells smash into tree lines, shredding cover that once felt secure. The forest itself begins to collapse under fire. Skorzeny realizes the danger. His force risks being fixed in place, crushed by weight of fire rather than maneuver. He orders another shift, this time deeper, into broken terrain where armor cannot easily follow. Villages are bypassed, roads abandoned. The Ardennes becomes a maze once more. As darkness falls, German units slip away again, leaving the Americans to advance into silence and uncertainty. From a ridgeline, Skorzeny looks back at the glow of fires marking the day's battles. The Ardennes offensive still burns, but now it burns unevenly, unpredictably. The Allies are adapting faster than expected. The night offers concealment, but no rest. Skorzeny's column moves in fragments now, broken into smaller, more agile elements. The Ardennes closes in, trees thickening, paths narrowing, the snow absorbing sound, but not fear. Behind them, American units advance cautiously, learning from every encounter. The hunt has begun. Shortly after midnight, flares burst overhead. White light washes across the forest floor, freezing men in place. Machine gun fire erupts from the valley below. Skorzeny orders immediate dispersal. Units peel away from the road, vanishing into the trees just as artillery begins to fall where they stood moments before. The timing is precise, seconds decide survival. Radio silence follows. Communication now relies on runners, men moving through darkness with memorized orders and hand-drawn maps. Skorzeny understands the risk. Fragmentation could mean collapse, yet remaining concentrated would invite destruction from air and artillery. This is no longer an offensive, it is controlled evasion under pressure. At dawn, American patrols close in near a narrow defile. Skorzeny's rearguard engages deliberately, laying down disciplined fire before slipping away. Every contact is brief, sharp, designed to bleed time from the enemy. The Ardennes becomes a chessboard of fleeting engagements, each move trading space for survival. Supplies are critically low. Fuel is rationed to the last liter. Vehicles that cannot move are destroyed. Men carry what they can: ammunition, radios, wounded comrades, leaving everything else behind. The elite formations that entered the forest days earlier now show the strain. Hollow eyes, frost-bitten hands, uniforms stiff with ice and grime. Near a small unnamed hamlet, Skorzeny pauses. American armor is approaching from the south, infantry from the west. The terrain offers one narrow escape route through steep, wooded ground. He orders a night movement, timing it between enemy patrol cycles. Silence is enforced. Even coughing is suppressed. The forest listens. The maneuver succeeds, but barely. As the last elements pass through, American artillery finds the route. Shells crash down, splintering trees, blocking the path behind them. The escape is sealed. Skorzeny watches the ridge disappear in fire and smoke. There will be no turning back. By evening, contact intensifies again. American forces press harder now, confident, coordinated. Skorzeny's men fight from prepared positions carved hastily into frozen earth. Machine guns chat, rifles answer. The Germans hold long enough to disengage once more. but each withdrawal grows harder. Skorzeny studies his map under a flickering lantern. The front lines have shifted. Objectives are no longer reachable. Orders from higher command are vague, delayed, increasingly disconnected from reality on the ground. He understands what this means. The Ardennes gamble is failing, yet the battle is not finished. Survival itself has become the mission, and the Americans are closing. The pressure tightens with every passing hour. American forces no longer probe, they advance with purpose. Artillery brackets German positions with grim accuracy, and infantry follows close behind, moving cautiously but relentlessly. Skorzeny feels the rhythm of the battle shift. This is no longer confusion or surprise. This is methodical destruction. Snow begins to fall again, thick and heavy, reducing visibility to mere meters. Movement becomes treacherous. Men stumble. Vehicles slide into ditches and are abandoned without ceremony. Skorzeny orders all remaining motorized elements destroyed if immobilized. Nothing must be left intact. The Ardennes swallows equipment as easily as men. Radio contact with higher command flickers and dies. When messages come through, they are outdated. Irrelevant orders to advance where no advance is possible. Skorzeny makes the decision himself. He will pull his remaining force east, toward friendly lines, before encirclement becomes absolute. It is a race against time, terrain, and an enemy that now controls the sky and the guns. An American roadblock materializes near a frozen crossroads. Skorzeny's men engage immediately. Machine guns hammer the position while assault teams move through deep snow on the flanks. The fight is close, violent, and brief. Grenades explode at arm's length. When the firing stops, the road is open, but only just. Casualties are no longer counted formally. Losses are assumed. The wounded who cannot walk are stabilized and left with morphine and orders to surrender when discovered. It is the hardest decision of the campaign, made without ceremony or hesitation. Survival of the unit outweighs everything else. By nightfall, American armor can be heard again. Engines echoing through valleys. Flares rise. The forest glows white, then plunges back into darkness. Skorzeny orders another dispersal. Smaller groups peeling away independently. Command cohesion dissolves by necessity. Each group now navigates by compass, memory, and instinct. Exhaustion is total. Men march until they collapse, then rise again when ordered. Frostbite spreads. Ammunition dwindles to single magazines. Yet the discipline remains. No panic, no rout, only grim endurance. Near a shallow ravine, Skorzeny halts briefly. He listens to the distant sounds of battle. American artillery, engines, shouted commands carried faintly through the cold air. The Ardennes offensive, once envisioned as a decisive blow, has become a fight to escape annihilation. He gives the final orders of the night. Movement resumes before dawn. Somewhere ahead lie German lines if they still exist. Before dawn, movement resumes. The men rise stiffly from shallow cover, muscles locked by cold and exhaustion. Skorzeny leads from near the front now, navigating by compass and memory through ground that no longer resembles any map. Snow hides landmarks. Roads vanish. Only the sound of distant guns hints at where the front lines might still exist. American pressure intensifies as daylight approaches. Artillery begins again, deliberate and searching. Shells fall along likely routes of withdrawal, forcing German groups to scatter repeatedly. Each detour costs time. Each pause risks encirclement. Skorzeny orders the column to break into even smaller elements, reducing visibility and noise. Control becomes fragile but necessary. Near a wooded rise, a sudden firefight erupts. An American patrol has closed the gap. The exchange is violent and close. Rifles crack at 50 meters. Machine gun fire chews through brush. Skorzeny coordinates a rapid countermove, pinning the Americans just long enough to disengage. The delay costs casualties but buys space. By mid-morning, the sound of engines grows louder. American armor is closer than ever. Skorzeny realizes that if they do not cross the next ridge line soon, they will be cut off completely. He orders an immediate push, regardless of fatigue. Men stumble forward, half running, half falling through drifts and shattered forest. The ridge is reached under fire. American artillery slams into the slope, trees splintering, erupting. One squad is lost entirely. There is no time to stop. Skorzeny drives the survivors onward, into broken ground where tanks cannot follow easily. The gamble works, but only barely. At last, faint signs of German lines appear, abandoned field positions, discarded equipment, wrecked vehicles from earlier fighting. It is unclear whether the area is still held or already lost. Skorzeny orders caution. Patrols move ahead, weapons ready, nerves stretched thin. Contact finally comes not with Americans, but with scattered German elements, remnants of shattered units pulling back in disorder. There is no organized front here, only fragments. The Ardennes offensive has collapsed into chaos. Skorzeny gathers what remains of his force. Numbers are far below strength. Equipment is minimal. The men are exhausted, hollowed by cold and constant movement. Yet they are alive. Behind them, American forces continue to advance, reclaiming ground with overwhelming firepower. The window has closed. The operation is over, but survival has been achieved for now. Skorzeny looks east. The war continues, and defeat is no longer theoretical. It is approaching with certainty. The regrouping is brief. There is no safety here, only temporary distance from annihilation. Skorzeny orders movement to continue eastward, deeper into collapsing German lines. What remains of his force slips through shell-scarred fields and shattered villages, avoiding roads whenever possible. The Ardennes is behind them, but the danger is not. American artillery still reaches far. Shells land without warning, reminders that the Allies now dominate the tempo of the war. German units pass in the opposite direction, disorganized, leaderless, some barely armed. No one asks questions. Everyone understands. The offensive has failed, and the front is folding inward. Skorzeny keeps his men moving at night, halting only when exhaustion becomes physical collapse. Maps are useless now. Boundaries between units no longer exist. Orders from higher command arrive late or not at all. What remains is command by proximity, authority enforced by presence alone. Near the Sauer River, Skorzeny pauses again. The crossing ahead is dangerous, exposed ground. Potential American observation. Unknown strength on the far bank. He sends scouts forward. Minutes stretch. The cold bites deeper than before. The men wait in silence, fingers locked around weapons that feel heavier with every hour. The scouts return. The crossing is clear for now. Movement begins immediately. Men wade through icy water, rifles held overhead. Some slip, others freeze mid-step, dragged forward by comrades. On the far bank, they collapse into cover, breath tearing at their lungs. No pursuit yet, but it will come. At dawn, American aircraft appear again, circling beyond the clouds. Skorzeny orders concealment. The men melt into ruins, woods, and drainage ditches. Bombs fall nearby, not aimed directly but close enough. The message is unmistakable. There is nowhere left to hide. By mid-morning, Skorzeny receives confirmation what remains of his unit is officially reassigned, absorbed into defensive formations farther east. The Ardennes operation is finished. The elite formations that entered the forest weeks ago no longer exist as coherent forces. Skorzeny looks at the men around him, veterans, now aged by years and days. Survivors not by heroics, but by discipline and endurance. He gives his final orders related to the operation, short, practical, stripped of illusion. Then movement resumes. The war is no longer about bold offensives or decisive blows. It is about holding ground, delaying the inevitable, surviving long enough to obey the next order. Ahead lies retreat, bombardment, collapse, and beyond that, uncertainty. Skorzeny steps forward into the broken landscape. The sound of American guns follows him eastward. The battle has ended. The war has not.